Salam, hello everyone, and welcome to our event, The Value of the Arabic Language in a Global Economy. My name is Hadjer Abir Bensaha, and I am the president of the International Business Club, and in the meanwhile, I'm helping the Arabic Club to shine. This event is sponsored by both clubs, and it's a pleasure to have Dr. Holland moderating the panel. Dr. Holland is an associate professor here at the Huntsman School of Business. His research centers on entrepreneurial decision-making with a particular interest in the factors that affect persistence. He has also participated in research related to ethics, creativity, and entrepreneurship. Now, I will pass the mic to Dr. Holland.
Thank you, Hodger. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and I really appreciate the invitation, and thank you for that introduction. I am excited for this opportunity to learn a little bit more about the Arabic language and the role it plays in business, and I hope that everyone will learn a lot from this experience. We have three great panelists today. We have with us Dr. Abdulkafi Albirini, and he is a professor of linguistic and Arabic language acquisition at USU. He originally came from Syria and moved to the US to complete his graduate education. He taught at Ohio State, I should say the Ohio State University, and the University of Illinois before coming to USU in 2010. His research interests are mainly in Arabic language acquisition and sociolinguistics, and he teaches courses focusing primarily on linguistics and the Arab culture. So welcome. We appreciate you being with us, Dr. Albirini.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We also have Zach Malcarne. Now I knew I was going to mess up your last name, Zach. Now, Zach Malcarne, he's a recent graduate from Utah State University, earning a BA in International Business and a BS in Environmental and Natural Resource Economics. In 2018, he received a Boren Scholarship, which allowed him to live and study in the United Arab Emirates for a year. He's currently working at Women of the World, a local Salt Lake City nonprofit organization that supports and empowers refugee, immigrant, and asylee women. Zach has a passion for intercultural activities and communication. He plans to attend law school in the next few years, but in the meantime, he's enjoying working at a nonprofit, and we're grateful to have you with us, Zach. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And finally, Hodger got to introduce me, and I get to introduce her. Let me tell you a little more about Hodger. She's one of my favorite students. We had a chance to travel together to Peru a couple years ago. And she is originally from Algeria. She is a senior student at Utah State right now, and she's majoring in international business and marketing with minors in just about everything. She has a minor in leadership and management, entrepreneurship, and technical sales. She is the president of the International Business Club and helping the Arabic Club. She's also a mentor for the Aggie's First Scholars Program. And she currently works at Walmart as a sales associate in the electronics department. Thank you for joining us, Hodger, and being on this panel. We appreciate it. So I'm going to just start this by asking a few questions and hopefully getting the discussion going. We'll start with Dr. Albirini, and I wonder if you could tell us a little bit more, just give us some background about the Arabic language and where it's spoken primarily in the world today.
So Arabic is a Semitic language, which means it belongs to a whole family of languages that's well known for their long history. It has rich history, extends over thousands of years. It also has a rich literary tradition, so uninterrupted literary tradition that goes back more than 2,000 years ago. It's spoken natively by more than 300 million speakers, and they are mostly centered in the Middle East and North Africa. Arabic also is the language of the Islamic texts and liturgy, which means many Muslims have to learn Arabic to be able to read Islamic texts like the Quran. Some of them are able to converse as well. Also, Arabic is spoken outside the Arab region by people who live in the diaspora, particularly in North America and Europe and Australia. With respect to status, is the official status of 22 countries in the Arab region, and they are part of what's called the Arab League. These include Algeria, Bahrain, Comoros, Djibouti, Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Lebanon, Libya, Mauritania, Morocco, Oman, Palestine, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, Tunisia, United Arab Emirates, and Yemen. It's also recognized as the official or national or regional language in countries like Niger or Senegal, Mali, Turkey, and Iran.
That's really interesting. A lot of times I feel like when a certain region has a common language, we think of them also as having a single culture, but that's often not the case. But I'm sure there's a lot of similarities and differences between all those countries that you just talked about. Can you share a few of those?
So there are many similarities and many differences. I think the major similarity is the language. So language, particularly, we have two languages or two varieties of Arabic. We have standard Arabic, what's called standard Arabic, and we have colloquial Arabic. So colloquial Arabic is regional, and it varies from one region to another or from one country to another. Even within the same country, you have multiple dialects. But standard Arabic is shared between standard Arabic I'm talking about here is shared between the different Arab people. Actually, is one of the main markers of Arab identity. They also share a long history. So many Arabs recognize that they belong, for example, to Arabia or Yemen. Also shared is ethnic backgrounds for the majority of the population in the Arab region. Of course, there are minorities like the Berbers, the Kurds, the Turkomans, etc. So there are a lot of minority groups, but the majority they come from an Arab descent. They also share a lot of values like generosity. Just to give an example, for example, if you are invited to the house of an Arab, they would insist on eating, and if you refuse, they will tell you you need to eat or something like this. The idea of hospitality, for example, this is well known. For example, they will fight over who will pay the bill in a restaurant. Another shared value is loyalty to the family and the tribe. People who have tribes, of course, like in Arabia, in the Arabian Gulf. In terms of course, there are many other differences. I can go on and on. But in terms of differences, there are differences, for example, in terms of dress. So we see in the Arab Gulf, they wear what's called thobe, it's one piece. And then in terms of food, for example, in Morocco, Algeria, they have different cuisine. In comparison, let's say, for example, with Syria or Egypt or Saudi Arabia. Also, they differ in terms of celebration of special events, like, for example, weddings are done differently. For example, Hadjer, you can correct me about that. In Algeria, Morocco, I think most of the weddings are mixed. I think, as far as I know, in Syria as well, they say in the Gulf region, they separate men and women.
It's interesting, like in Algeria itself, we have different cultures.
Exactly.
From state to state. Like the North Algeria is more affected by the French culture, where you find mixity. However, the more you get inside Algeria, more to the desert, you will find a many conservative culture. Yeah,
right. Also, in terms of conservatism, I think in the Gulf region, I think they are a little bit more conservative than in, let's say, Morocco, for example, or Tunisia, or Lebanon, or so. So there are many differences, but these are some.
Thank you for sharing that.
It might also be worth saying that the spread of Arabic is closely tied with the spread of Islam. And that's how you have a difference between the standardization of the Arabic language and the colloquial languages as well. Thanks mostly to Islam, which has been able to retain and maintain that standard Arabic.
Mhm. That's correct.
Interesting.
Thank you, Zach.
So Zach, tell us a little bit more about your story. I understand that you have learned Arabic. What motivated you to learn Arabic? That's not a common one that students choose to learn.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to preface by saying I do not consider myself fluent in Arabic at all. I took 2 full years, so 5 credits worth of Arabic, but still struggle to have a basic conversation. It's a beautiful language, and I wish I had more time to dedicate to it. For me, my interest initially started growing up with a friend who is Muslim, and learning more about her religion and asking questions. And then when I had the opportunity to go to college and pick a degree and an interest, my interests have always kind of led towards resource scarcity, particularly water scarcity. And that made me think about my friends that I'd made in the Middle East. And so I just kind of started combining my 2 passions about learning about different people and trying to understand why people were acting the way they did. And then combining that, I think it's not fair to study or look at a region without trying to understand it from the way they describe themselves. And so that's why I started studying Arabic.
That's great. And so you may not use Arabic often in your current job, but you've probably learned a lot about it and about the culture and whatnot. Do you learn, or do you use some of those things in your current work? And how do you plan to use it in the future?
I will probably not say anything correct compared to our linguistics professor here, but I find that the way we refer to things, our traditions as far as language go, they tell a lot about who we are as a culture and what we value. And so having that base knowledge in my current job, where I'm an office manager for a nonprofit, we're working with a lot of refugees, and about 50% of our clients are Arabic speaking women. And being able to, at the very least, have that basic interaction in their primary language is a huge trust builder when you're talking about a form of social work. If I can come in and the first thing I can do is, especially if you're seeing somebody who's wearing a hijab, a hijabi, the first thing I can say is salam alaikum and welcome them into the office in Arabic. That goes a long way for me saying, like, I'm coming to you in the way you prefer to be greeted, in the way that your family would talk to you. And I want you to treat me the same way and treat me like I'm family. And so that immediately starts to have a different conversation than if I'm just, hey, come on in. But instead I can say ahlan wa sahlan and, tafadalin and welcome them to the office in a more maybe conversational way for them.
Yeah, Hodger, Zach just gave a great example of being able to make a connection using language. And you have come to the United States from Algeria and have been here for a number of years. I'm just curious what you think are some ways that we could better build bridges between the US and Arabic-speaking countries.
That's a great question. So as we know that there are 22 countries speaking Arabic, and which makes it a great opportunity to invest there. So the US embassies in the Arab countries are doing such a great job, especially in Algeria. Lately, they start doing an exchange programs with Algerian students and investors, which I found it super interesting because I felt that they are doing a great job on linking the 2 countries more than the government itself, which is interesting.
That is interesting. Do you have an example of a specific company that you feel is doing a great job of that?
That's a great question, but there are many companies, US companies actually are doing a great job in their Arabic world, especially in the Middle East. And I feel like the Middle East, like countries like UAE and Qatar and Saudi Arabia are opening their economics to the foreign investors, right? Which is making it so good to interact more American and foreign businesses. So most of the businesses there are oil companies, like what's the name of the Chevron, right? And they have Halliburton Corporation and Schneider Electric and many businesses.
Yeah. So Dr. Albirini, oil is something that most of us think of in that region as being a major part of the business sector. What are some other business sectors in that region?
I think there are many sectors like tourism, for example, manufacturing. Of course, not like large-scale manufacturing or manufacturing of cars or something. This is not popular. Like small products, like for example, refrigerators, for example, or ACs or something like this, small things, or agricultural tools or something like this. So in terms of the use of Arabic in the business sectors, I think Arabic is used, as far as I know, based on my knowledge in different countries. I lived for a while in Saudi Arabia. I visited Lebanon, and I went to Jordan several times to I lived in Syria most of my life. I also visited Morocco. So I am familiar with different Arab countries. I think Arabic is used in different sectors, in manufacturing, in trade between Arab countries, and even in trade between Arab countries and international companies. Because, for example, many companies in China, they have people who are trained and have the Arabic language skills to deal with the clients from the Arab region. So this is an indication that Arabic is still used and viable means of communication in the business sector or business in general. Another thing, I think that's what's called EFL, English Proficiency Index. And Arabic countries, most of the Arabic countries, they rank very low on this index, which means that they are not very skilled in using English, which is the lingua franca in business, which means also in turn, it means that Arabic is the primary means of communication in business and business in general.
So it'd be
Can I add something? Sorry.
Yeah, please.
I feel like China or Chinese are doing great on learning Arabic. I have heard lately that they have 44 universities that teach only Arabic. And in fact, if you go to Algeria, there were a program that the government did with China where they have their investors and their people to come and work in the country. So you can find a Chinese that speaks a fluent Arabic, and not just the academic Arabic, but also the Algerian dialect, which is hard even on the Middle Eastern people. So the Algerian dialect is a mix of Arabic with some French out there, some Spanish words, some Turkish words that they have in our dialect, which is interesting.
That is interesting.
For American students, American business, it's very American-centric. We often don't think about learning another language because we've always had people come to us in our language. We're very spoiled with that. But I think you miss out on the opportunity to really expand not only your business, I mean, outside of the economics of it, but your understanding of the world if you limit yourself to just knowing English. And I think other countries who have historically been forced to compromise by coming to English have that base understanding already of the necessity of understanding the world through languages. And I think that's something that America is slowly waking up to by having conversations like this.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Um, so learning language may be a great way to really connect and build business relationships and work in that region. Are there other things, Hodger, that you can think of that that we could learn about the culture or ways of doing business that would make us more effective in our business relationships?
Yes. So learning the language takes off the barriers of misunderstanding the Arabic culture and the Arab people themselves. Before discussing the Arab world as a region, it's important to bear in mind that the Middle East and North Africa are not homogeneous regions. These regions have different religions, races, history, and some differences in their cultures. However, Arabic language unites them. You need to learn about the overall culture before you do the business there. You need to know the taboos, the social classes, the races, the ancestry, the religion and spiritual beliefs, and the family structure. And understanding the history is a crucial point. The Arab word is a relationship-driven culture, which means the personal relationships form the basis of the social and business interactions, and such as the family orientation, the collectivist mindset, and the networks are usually the way things get done. And when doing a business in Arab countries, you need to consider the potential culture clashes that can inconsistent with the American culture. Like the business and personal life are not separated with Arabs. You can get distracted in the meeting by phone or like people coming and leaving the room. And don't be too direct with Arabs. So when disagreeing, you should be more of diplomatic as possible. We don't like when you are so direct to us, we can take it as critic or like as offended. And I'm not sure if Abdulkafi will agree with me.
I don't know. I've been away from the Arab region for about more than 20 years. So I
Wow.
probably forgot most of the things, the cultural issues there.
Yeah, I think it's like, as we say, like learning a language, it takes you in indirect way to learn the culture. And by learning the culture, you're going to get more closer to the people.
Great, thank you for sharing that. So, Dr. Albirini, if you were to make a pitch for students to take Arabic, how would that sound? Why should they choose Arabic over other languages?
Well, they don't have to. but
Good point.
What I can do is I can highlight the value of Arabic. Of course, all languages are valuable and important and have different values and associations and needs and etc. But Arabic, in terms of it's ranked in terms of the Power Language Index as the 5th most important language in the world. And this is based on a number of factors, like the number of native speakers, the economic output of these native speakers, the importance of the language in world diplomacy, etc. So language, Arabic, as I said, also is spoken by more than 300 million people, which is significant. But there are, I think, many other values. It's not only about indexes and indices or something like this. It's, I think, as Hadjer correctly said, so language is a window to the culture. It's understanding the people, their habits, their history, their literature, their social customs, etc. There's also human value to language. We become better communicators with other human beings when we learn their language. I think we deal with them in a better way. We understand their needs, their orientation, cultural orientations, their ways of thinking. Also, there's a social value for language. So you know about different societies, about what's valuable in these societies, and different people There's economic value for Arabic and languages in general because of this the issue of economic competitiveness. And this is actually what China has been used very successfully in terms of preparing people, training people to be good speakers of different languages so that they are successful in communicating with different cultures. There's political value, and we know, most of us, we know the Middle East has been the center of so many issues. Some of them are very sad. So there are many values for Arabic. Arabic is important on different levels: cultural, social, political, economic, literary, historical. And so, of course, students have different orientations and different needs. So they can pick, for example, from my experience, some students just learn Arabic just to read about Arab history or to read the Quran, for example, or some just to read Arabic literature. When I was at the Ohio State University, some students just they hear about Arabic poetry, for example, is very beautiful type of poetry, and so they just learn Arabic to know more about Arabic poetry.
And without forgetting that Arab countries are located in a very strategic places in the world. And the Arab people are so conceptual than producers. So if you learn Arabic and enter this market, you're gonna benefit a lot.
Mm-hmm. So just, can I add one more thing about Hadjer? You know, what Hadjer said about the Middle East. Many people complain, they say, oh, the Middle East all the time, wars, whatever. And I say my response is that the Middle East, historically, it has been a contested area for a very long time. It's not something new. It's a hot area. It's because of its geographical location, because of its, so like many religions originated there. Old cultures, languages, inventions, etc. So this area has been contested for a very long time. So,
and it's really interesting to read about the Arabic civilizations in the Middle Eastern, like strategical way. Like you said, like even Algeria and the North Africa, we have been exposed to many colonization that affected even our speaking in our daily life.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Zach, as I listen to this discussion, and I think about the way we speaking broadly, a broad generalization of Americans, right? The way we view the Middle East, it's often because of what we hear in the news, and there's probably some negative bias, right? I'm just curious about your experience with learning the language and living in the region, and how that changed your perspective. And could you share a little about that?
Sure. Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. I think a lot of the media consumption that people receive, that's spoon-fed to all of us about the Middle East, is negative. It's largely negative, and it requires a lot of people to take that extra step, that initiative on their own, to learn about the beautiful, positive things that we have about every culture, but particularly Middle Eastern Arabic culture. I think that for me, in my experience, I've had lots of opportunities to understand that there's always a different side to every story. I'm not native to Utah. I came from Connecticut to Utah. And so coming from a non-conservative state to another conservative state, I think definitely made me appreciate the fact that when I went to the Middle East, I was also going to a conservative state, and understanding that there's cultural norms and values and barriers that I might not have myself, but that I can put myself into and learn to adapt. I think a lot of people, particularly here in Utah, might think of this as standard life. Think of Utah as the way everybody else is living, but that's not true. Mm-hmm. And that there's a beautiful variety of ways to go about our daily lives within Utah itself. I think biases will always exist. And stereotypes are often helpful. They're helpful tools that we all rely on to get through our day without thinking too hard. But when we start to go on autopilot and assume that everybody becomes a stereotype, then I think we're entering dangerous territory. And I think, like I said earlier, that requires everybody kind of waking up and taking that personal initiative to investigate further and learn more. Yeah. And I think for another pitch for the Arabic class, that's a beautiful opportunity to do so. We have thousands of Arabic speaking members of that diaspora that was mentioned earlier here in Utah. And that person might be your neighbor, and you might not be able to engage with them fully as a neighbor if you aren't taking that extra step to get to know them and to be able to understand and speak to them in their primary language. And it's a beautiful opportunity. I think everybody should take advantage of it.
Thank you.
This is a good addition. I really like that. Thank you.
Let me stick with you for a minute, Zach. Tell us a little more about, you mentioned taking some classes. I don't know if you were involved in clubs or other activities or things that students might be able to do here on campus to engage with Arabic, the language, and with the community.
So when I was first starting, it was mostly my Arabic class, and we would just get together, once a week, and we would just practice mostly. I'm sure we absolutely butchered the Arabic language. It was totally an insult to every native speaker, but we tried. And then by my second semester, that's when I knew I wanted to take it a little bit more seriously and was looking for a study abroad opportunity. And I actually ended up meeting some Egyptian students on campus. And I just took advantage of buying them lunch every once in a while and talking to them and asking for their advice and trying to take advantage of the people. When I was there, I wasn't active in, unfortunately, and I wish I wasn't active in any Arabic clubs. But I engaged often with I forget the full name, the Islamic Association, the one that's on 4th South, I think. What was that?
In Utah?
Yeah, in Logan.
It's Logan Islamic Center, you mean?
Yes, the Islamic Center. Through some of my professors and his friends, I just met a bunch of members of the center and was able to make new friends and practice my Arabic, ask lots of questions, and make a fool of myself. And I think if everybody's humble enough to do that when they're learning Arabic especially, then you're going to have a good time.
Great advice. Hodger, what are some things that you have learned by studying in the US, and what do you think others could do maybe similarly that would help them as they study Arabic and try to get more familiar with the culture in that region?
So the US provided me with a new and a better life, which I'm really so appreciative for. There are many valuable things that I have learned by studying in the US, which are exploring vast academic opportunities I have never had in my country, improving myself in my career, and gaining a global perspective as living with diverse cultures. So coming from one culture where you don't have that much diverse and you just see different people in the media and the effect of the media in our minds, then coming to a state like Utah where there are not many, right? There are not many people like me. It was a culture shock in the beginning. I'm not gonna lie. English was my third language where we just learn 3 hours a week in the classes. So I really can understand the people who are trying to learn Arabic, like Zach, he said, that they have just 1 hour a week where they can practice in a club, and they have 3 hours a week where they study the class. So always to learn a language, it's better to get with the native people and be around them so they force you to speak the language. That's what happened to me when I came to Utah. I really get out of my comfort zone and I had to face my life, face the reality, or like it was a surviving mentality. Learn English to survive. That was what that was my experience in the beginning. Then by the time I start really, by understanding English, I start understanding people, and I start accepting diversity and understand that it's fine if I meet people different than me, with different beliefs, with different thinking, but let's have the humanity that get us together, right? And have the mutual respect and just communicate. Take the fear away. If you see, I feel happy when I work at Walmart and I have people coming to me asking me why I wear the headscarf. Then we start getting deeper to talking where I am from, why I am here. And I start feeling so happy, because breaking the ice by just communicating is the first step to get to know others. And that may have those people being interested in learning Arabic and in knowing about the cultures, and even by visiting the Arabic world.
Thank you. Dr. Albirini, we have a question from Anne, and she asked, after a year of Arabic classes at the university, how comfortable could one expect to be in the language? You have any thoughts on that as you've dealt with students that have studied it?
Well, you know, this is in terms of language proficiency, students, they vary a lot. Some people, they advance, like they progress very quickly, and some they don't. But generally speaking, people who finish first year, just 1 year of Arabic, are supposed to carry on simple conversations about themselves, about their families, about where they live, about their apartments, about their school. So this is what the expectation, because in Arabic, when students learn Arabic, there's the additional burden of learning the alphabet, the writing system, and so it's not like when you are learning Spanish, you already know the Latin alphabet. So there are a lot of cognates, similar words, or words that are similar. In Arabic, it's slightly different, so it takes some time. So if you can finish first year of Arabic and carry out simple conversations about home, about family, about friends, about school, about I think I said apartment. That would be great.
Thank you. Okay, if there's any other questions, please do enter them in the chat, but we're going to wrap up here soon. I want to give each of you one last opportunity to just share any additional thoughts that you might have, or anything related to how students might continue to learn about Arabic, about Arab culture, about business in the region, and any final thoughts that you might have. We'll start with Dr. Albirini, then we'll go with Zach, and then end with Hodger.
I just want to share my own experience, because I went through the same experience probably like Hadjer. So when I came to the US, we had so many stereotypes. Like, we think everyone has some stereotypes. So I had some thinking about American culture, for example, that most of them are rich, most of them, they are arrogant, or something like this. So my experience, actually getting to know the people, I changed completely my understanding of, and I'm not saying that just because I'm talking to Americans here. I say this all the time. I became in love with the culture, with the educational system, with the openness of the people, the open-mindedness also of the people, how welcoming they are. So I learned actually so many good things in my life from the American culture, in terms of education, in terms of open-mindedness, in terms of respecting other humans. So I discovered that language, like this is, I started, of course, by learning language, but language is a window for learning about other things. And this is, for me, it applies the same when we talk about the Arabic language. So people may start learning language Then they learn about the culture, then they mix with people from the other culture and speakers of the other language, and then they can appreciate different aspects of the culture and the people and the society.
Thank you. Zach.
I think I will do a plug for studying abroad, and as an extension of that, incorporating some language learning into whatever course of study you're currently on. No matter what, your life will always be enriched when you're adding more people of diverse backgrounds to it, especially if you take that step and you go to them in their comfort zone. I understand that traveling might not be an option for everybody, but there are so many diverse cultures that are represented in Logan at Utah State. And you might not be able to go to their comfort zone of their home country, but you could go to the comfort zone of their home, or by approaching them and coming into their world by asking other people how to say things in their primary language or their mother tongue. Trying, I think, is incredibly valuable. And if you are interested in learning Arabic, it will be a skill, whether you continue with Arabic in the hope of becoming a native speaker, or if you just want to practice learning a new language, it'll be incredibly valuable throughout the rest of your life.
Thank you. I want to, first, I want to just thank all of you on the panel for your messages, and I've learned a lot, and I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts and perspectives. We're going to give Hodger the last word, and you can share your final words of wisdom and close this off. But thank you for letting me be a part of it. Hadjer.
Thank you, Dr. Daniel. There is nothing impossible. If you want something, you can achieve it. Get out of your comfort zone and challenge yourself to learn Arabic. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. That was a pleasure to be here. Please be sure to check the Huntsman calendar for future events. And you can also contact me if you're interested in joining the Arabic Club, where you can meet weekly Arab people from Algeria, Syria, Palestine, and from over the world. It's open for anyone. You don't have to be a student in Arabic classes. To learn more about Arabic culture and the language itself, please email me at abirhadjer99@gmail.com. So it's abirhadjer99@gmail.com. Thank you and have a great day.